President Muhammadu Buhari today met with the 23 freed passengers of the Abuja-Kaduna train attack. The president made an impromptu visit to the Nigerian Defense Academy NDA hospital to see the victims of the train attack after commissioning cadets of 69 regular course of the NDA in Afaka, Kaduna State. Before coming to Abuja from the Kaduna International Airport, Buhari also thanked the Nigerian military for their brave services in securing the safe release of the hostages from Boko Haram terrorists. Members of the Chief of Defense Staff Action Committee, led by Major General Usman Abdul Qadir, retired, who facilitated the release of the train victims Thursday, were present at the hospital. And in politics, a spokesperson of the All Progressives Congress presidential campaign, Festus Keyamo, has shed light on the 8-second video of the party's presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, on an exercise bicycle, and also confessed his ignorance on the whereabouts of his candidate. The spokesman, however, assured that the APC candidate will be back in the country soon. Interestingly, a clip making rounds shows the APC presidential candidate returned to the country this evening, which puts aside speculations of his whereabouts. Also, the final list of candidates for various elective positions in the 2023 general elections was released by the Independent National Electoral Commission on Tuesday. In the documents released, names of governorship candidates with pending court cases in their respective states and others with intra-party crises were conspicuously missing. This has been generating tension among members of the affected political parties. Now, with the release of the list, it is expected that political parties will be running a full campaign train in the coming days and weeks. However, what will be the agenda for these candidates as campaigns begin? This will be the focus of the conversation tonight. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Hamza Idris. We are joined in the studio by Baba Yusuf. He is a strategist and policy analyst. We are also joined by Mukhtar Suleiman. He is a political analyst and the strategic communications officer for Accountability Lab Nigeria. Welcome to the program, gentlemen.
Thank you so much for having me.
How was your day?
Oh, well, every day in Nigeria is a drama. So.
What? Yeah, a cheering news today that even though it started yesterday, when we heard of the release of the remaining 23 captives of the Abuja-Kaduna infamous train attack. Yeah. And today, President Buhari took his time to visit the victims in hospital. Baba, what is your take on the visit by the president? Is it symbolic or it signifies something?
Well, I'll say it's both. First of all, it's symbolic because it's the president, but it's important. It's a departure from the past, how, some key national events or issues happen, and we expect to see Mr. President to be there or to make some key comments, and they don't come. I'll bet we may not know why, and it leaves a lot of questions or comments in the lips of citizens. Mr. President's visit today is a very good step in the right direction for the victims, for their families, and indeed for the country. It demonstrates the leader's empathy, which is very key in our situation today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mukhtar.
Yeah.
What is your take? Is it surprising that he was there to commission cadets of the Nigeria Defense Academy, and then on his way he now veered off the protocol and visited the victims in hospital?
I think, as Baba has rightly stated, it's actually not the norm where we see the president just act nonchalant about issues of this nature. But the peculiarities around how these victims were released, although I understand that not everything should be public knowledge,
Yeah.
but I think we still need some level of closure that this was done in an effort, in a well-guided effort by the Nigerian military. Because if you read the reports that came out and you read the statement that the Chief of Defense Staff put out.
Yeah, the committee committee set up by the Chief of Defense Staff. Yeah.
If you read the statement that came out, you see things like, they're grateful for such a humanitarian thing. Terrorists as released. So it didn't really speak to how much of the effort was done by the military, although they said it's coordinated effort from various sister organizations, including the Federal Ministry of Transportation and all of that. But we didn't get to hear, while this happened, these were the things that ensued. You see, for example, the United States president, after the killing of Qasem Soleimani, or after the death of Osama bin Laden.
Yeah,
quite recently.
Al-Zawahiri.
Yes, Al-Zawahiri, yes. There was this, we were able to do this, we did this. They took us through every step. They said what happened, how many people died, how they had to kill this person before they made their way into this. And these are very important information to actually show us that the military was actually in control of how that process happened.
Yeah.
And we didn't see that in the speech that came out. It was very vague and very bland and pretty straightforward. It's as if they just edited the previous speech and just gave it back to us.
You see, Baba, Mukhtar was talking about accountability, most likely because from the accountability lab. Yes. These 23 were not the only captives. Many of them have been released using other methods, negotiators and all that, and it is in the open that over 2 billion was spent to secure the families now spend that humongous amount. But this time around yesterday, it was just a statement that these people have been released, and people are asking questions. Do you also align with people asking for more information about what actually transpired?
I agree that people should know more with regards to the house, what led to the release of these victims after such a long time, after so much dragging. Why so also for all of us to learn from this experience? I'm very sure the people involved at the top in government must have learned from the experience. But it is also important for citizens to know what happened, if there are safeguards, even from a risk assessment perspective, for people to take those nuggets, and also for citizens to appreciate the effort of government.
Okay.
If we know the magnitude of efforts being put into this particular process, it will also help the perception, especially at this moment, of government's efforts towards curbing insecurity, and also towards the issues, the challenge, people are facing, especially when kidnapped.
Yeah, so you are always saying that beyond the end justifies the means, people should also appreciate efforts of government and the other stakeholders. Mukhtar, you see, should this be the end, or do you think this should be the end of something like this? Because these people were taken since March, almost 6 months or more, and they are still, just yesterday that we came to the end of this episode. What do you think should be done, to foreclose incidences like this, even though we are aware that many people are in custody in, all parts of the country?
Yeah, I think it's that thing about putting to, like I said, closure earlier, but we need to know if we actually won the war, if we just won a battle. And even if we won the battle, on whose turf was it? Like, who decided the terms that battle was actually fought on? What happened? What transpired? That thing you mentioned, accountability, is very important, because the government still expects us to take the train when it opens, because the primary reason why the train has not been functional from Abuja to Kaduna specifically has been because of these people that have been in captivity for as long as they have been. And the government has been losing a lot of money.
Yeah, we did a story in Daily Trust just, I think, 2 or 3 days ago,
and they're losing
hundreds of millions of naira have been lost in the last 7 months.
And it's very important because now it's not a question of did they actually pay the ransom because of how much they are losing, or did they do it for the best interest of Nigerians? So unless we get the whole story, the full picture, I know that more reports are going to come out, more things are going to be uncovered as we go forward. Nigeria is not known for keeping secret, even within the government. So we know that more things are going to come up, but we just want to be sure that we are safe, because I fly Kaduna to Abuja a lot. So I need to be sure that the next time I'm sitting in that train, I should not be on edge. I should not be apprehensive. I should know that there are security measures that have already been taken to ensure that I am safely going to transit from Abuja to Kaduna without any issues. Unless that there's some level of openness from the government, and this is made clear to each and every one of us, it will be very, very difficult for public trust to go back to that means of transportation, especially in that sector. Not even just there. The government is already losing credibility in so many things right now. And this was one thing that we're very grateful for. I'm very happy for the train, the interstate train between Abuja and Kaduna, and it was taken away from us in a very sad and painful way. So unless the government does its own bid by ensuring openness to show us that, okay, to rebuild the public trust, it's going to be very difficult, actually.
Yes, Baba, some people are alleging that even the proactiveness in the last few weeks, coupled with what happened between yesterday and today, they all have to do with 2023. Government to show that, yes, we can do it. Do you agree with this?
Well, the timing of the action has already raised this amber flag you are talking about, because a lot of things have been happening in the past, particularly in the case of the train attack on the train. It's how many months now?
Since March.
Yeah, so we did not see traction, we did not see aggressive pursuit of closure, if you like, of this particular, issue.
Magnitude,
until now. So it is fair for people to assume that build up to 2023, government needs to do some face-saving, tactics to start winning the hearts of the citizen, or gaining the trust, if you like, of the citizens in that regard. My focus here is, importantly, that the victims are safe and they are with their families. Moving forward from now to 2023, the actions of government will demonstrate whether this is just a fluke, whether it's a knee-jerk activity, or whether it is a corrective movement in the right direction. Like you rightly mentioned, you said, is it the end? I'm sure it's not the end. We have a lot of other people in custody. And also, we don't know what will happen next week or the week after. So days ahead and actions taken by government will either prove these doubts as right or otherwise.
Mukhtar, you have something to add to what he said on this? Like there is politics, or maybe the government is really committed to finally ending this menace.
I think one of the most interesting things I saw this morning was one of Bulama's cartoons.
Yes, in our paper.
Yes, on the paper, where he said, where the daughter and the father relation, the daughter came and said, Baba, they have released
the 23.
And Bulama said, what happened? The guy said, what happened to the terrorists?
What happened to the terrorists? Yeah.
Because that's the part of the story that we still don't know.
Yes.
If you tell me a story and there's a lot of loopholes and gaps and everything, it simply means that you don't know enough to fill those gaps. Because at this point, Nigerians are very analytical, they're very thorough.
Yes.
Now, at this point, and if you fill in the gaps with patches that don't make sense, we are obviously going to dig it up.
And people will keep asking questions.
People will always keep asking
because
questions.
One of the questions we got in our, the handset we received messages was that, is it that the terrorists brought the remainder from heaven or from hell or from where? And when you say that you have rescued them, meaning that the terrorists are just living somewhere, you know where they are living, and you're just looking at them.
It's not even, the narrative was not rescued. The narrative was either secured release or the terrorists released. That's been the narrative. And I've always said this, it is painful to me when Nigerians mistake nonchalance for incompetence. Nigeria is not incompetent. I know this firsthand, that if Nigeria wants to look for you, they will get you. So there's actually large room there's actually just this nonchalance, this porosity of what would I call, no, what's the better term?
Commitment.
Lack of commitment,
Yeah.
actually, from the actors, the security actors, to actually do their part. Or maybe there's a sabotage coming from the political class. We don't know where the issues are, but I would say this categorically: we should not mistake nonchalance for incompetence.
Thank you very much. Well, this is how far we can take on this tidbit. The other two issues, Bola Tinubu's return and the absence of names of many of the aspirants, will form part of our subject of discussion of today, which is, as campaign begins, agenda for candidates at all levels. We will take a short break now, and when we return, the discussion of the day commences. Don't go away.
Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
Welcome back. If you are just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV, and we have in the studio Mukhtar Suleiman, a political analyst and strategic communications officer for Accountability Lab Nigeria. We also have Baba Yusuf, strategist and policy analyst. Our subject of discussion, as campaigns begin, agenda for candidates at all levels. An hour ago, video was going around all the social media platforms of the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu, back in Nigeria. But earlier in the morning, it was, you can see the video there. Earlier in the day, it was tantrums between PDP, who were really searching for Tinubu, and then the spokesman of the campaign saying he was hale and hearty and he will soon return to Nigeria. What is your take on this back and forth on candidates?
I see it as just the normal startup banter, if you like, the butterflies in the stomach process of startup of campaigns. Campaign comes with colors, not just the flip side of it and the agitation, the aggressiveness. It also has what I call colors, the razzmatazz. The candidates have their playbooks. I mean, of course, that's the party's playbooks on how they intend to do what I call the entrance into the game. It appears to me, Bola Ahmed Tinubu decides to do a grand entrance, and the intrigue is part of the colors they intend to maybe apply in their opening concept of the campaign. The suspense and all that, and you see the banters between the PDP, for example, or other parties as to where is the APC candidate. Is he even healthy? Is he hale and hearty? Are the videos real or fake? These are all the things we should expect to see more. And as time goes on, it's part of the entertainment and drama, while the serious issues will precipitate as we go step closer to elections.
Okay. Mukhtar, even this spokesman, he said he don't know the whereabouts of the president, but he insisted that he was healthy and hearty. But those really opposing some of the happenings in APC believe that something must be wrong somewhere, because the president, the presidential candidate was not in Nigeria when the campaign council was inaugurated, when the peace accord was also signed. Don't you think some of the candidates are really giving room for suspicion, for lack of trust, even among the electorate?
I'll say this. I think recently, most of the political candidates from the different parties are banking on the politics is local mantra. While we believe that politics is actually local, I think you have to have a king-sized level of ego to think that 2023 will be business as usual. Now it is a whole different ballgame. The dynamics that are playing in that field right now are things that you cannot actually begin to say that you understand fully and clearly. So I feel pity for most of the candidates who will think that the same way it played out in 2019, 2015. Even 2019 was a bit tricky. It was a bit shaky. 2015, of course, everybody saw how that played out. But it's not politics as usual. And like Baba stated, this is just politics politicking. We're obviously going to see more of it. We're going to see a whole lot of the jabs that are going to be taken. We're going to enjoy the drama. I usually tell people, enjoy the drama as much as you can. But the thing is, we should ensure that all of these gimmicks do not overshadow the matters and the issues that are at hand. The things that we should actually focus on as we go forward to the 2023 elections. Don't get distracted by those gimmicks. They are interesting, they are nice, but they are distractions. Let's focus on those things that are actually very pertinent, the things that actually ensure that we can actually set the pace for how we expect the next 4 years, probably 8 years of the country to be like.
Okay, INEC, it has finally released names of every other person across all the political parties that will field candidates.
Yes.
But we still have some vacuums somewhere. Don't you think that this will also affect maybe the electioneering in one way or the other?
Naturally, traditionally it will. I think it's part of the process in every other election cycle, especially in Nigeria, which is more of the function of the intra-party wranglings than the function of the INEC itself. People, candidates or aspirants, as the case may be, aggrieved ones, are going to court, are getting all manner of either injunctions or the matter becomes sub judice, and as such, actions cannot be taken, in line with provisions of the law. So some of these outcomes are self-inflicted injuries, either by the parties or by the aspirants, as the case may be, which is now going to impact, on some of the parties, which brings to bear also the kind of politics we have, in the parties, the party politics at this stage of our political evolution. It will definitely impact, but most of the impact will be on the parties themselves, on how they allow the internal processes or the kind of internal processes that ensued and produce those candidates that now either end up in court or end up with an issue.
Now, Mukhtar, in specific terms, what do you think, beyond the gimmicks, beyond the videos they are throwing at us, to make us laugh or to make us ask more questions, what specific things do you think candidates across all the party platforms should start thinking of as the campaigns begin?
As the campaigns begin, actually, for me specifically, I'm looking forward to not just the regular day-to-day issues that they are pointing out. Oh, security is an issue. We're going to ensure that we combat security or insecurity. We're in global economic turmoil. We're going to ensure that these are just the day-to-day, everyday narrations. I'm not looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the how. If you say you're going to ensure that power is stable, yes, we want power to be stable, but we want to know how do you intend to ensure that you deal with the issues at the manufacturing side and the distribution side. The infrastructures that might be needed or necessary for us to combat the problem, where would you get the money to fund those infrastructures? Where would the money come from? Where would the manpower come from? And when you have the manpower and the the resources, the money? How are you going to match them? How well do you know about the solutions you want to provide?
Yeah.
These are the things I am looking out for as a person, and these are the things I'm actually speaking out to other people to look out for. Because I could also go up and stand up on a podium or a pavilion and tell everybody, I'm going to combat insecurity. But we want to know how well you understand that space. We should not, and I will repeat this, we should not under any circumstances vote in candidates or field candidates who do not understand the political space in Nigeria, who do not have political capitals to make things work. It's one thing to have the will, it's another thing for you to have the political capital to fund your will. So we should not have well-intentioned, useless people.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that we actually do better.
He is talking about how. Do you share the same philosophy of candidates talking about how to do it instead of I will do it? And what areas do you think they should also say or explain how they are going to approach?
Yeah, I think they should come with, it should be a total package. First of all, the how is easy to say. The how, it's easy to say verbally.
Yes.
But beyond that also, they need to demonstrate capacity, competence. And with that, we need to see antecedents. And that will demonstrate if you explain to me how a consultant somewhere didn't write how for you to come and speak to.
Okay.
So we need to see through that how by looking at the candidates individually. What is their pitch? What is their vision? What is their master plan? And like he rightly observed, distill the house for us. We need to understand that the granular, things that you need to do to achieve that. And I need to say this to the candidates now, across all strata. Nigeria is at a precipice. The global and national issues that are really bedeviling our national development are such that I don't also want you to come and tell me how and give me a 4-year blueprint and tell me it is in 4 years that I will start seeing results, so that on the 4th year you come with another campaign template to tell me if I give you a second time again you will deliver, and 8 years later I'm scratching my head. We need to see a clear pathway with short, mid to long term deliverables that could be measurable, that citizens can say, yes, this is what you told us, and you told us by June next year you can deliver this. We also need to see what I call the quick wins, the low-hanging fruits, because people are desperate.
Okay.
People are tired, right? So if citizens see this clarity from the candidates, I'm very sure they will have the capacity to make their choices. But they need to see this in the people.
Yeah.
Interestingly for us, with due respect to all parties, but because of time, I will speak about the 4 front runners: PDP, APC, NNPP, and LP. We have frontline runners that are known, right, that have been veterans of campaigns. They know what to say or what to do, but we need to see more refinement of these campaigns in terms of the pitches, in terms of the ads, and in terms of the granular of their blueprint to deliver Nigeria and take us to the next level.
He mentioned the leading parties, but someone in the streets, he rarely distinguishes between NNPP and LP, PDP and APC, meaning even the electorate requires some mobilization. How do we now approach this in order to help them to understand what some of these parties are out to do for them?
I think in the entire electioneering process, as far as democracy is concerned, or this country as a whole is concerned, there are varying stakeholders who have varying functions that they do. INEC is to ensure that they oversee the process and ensure transparency and accountability in that. The media also have to come in terms of ensuring that they can break down, like what we are doing right now. This is also an important component of this entire process. Then the CSOs, like for us at the Accountability Lab, what we're working on right now is how to break down most of the candidate profiles. We're working on jingles. We're trying to ensure that there's some level of openness and transparency in what these people are saying and how we are going to hold them accountable. If I'm being honest, I miss the time of where candidates come up with point agendas.
Yes.
These were easier to look at. They might sound ambitious and ambiguous sometimes, but you could tell that, oh, if you have point agendas, 7-point agendas, 5-point agendas, all of that, at least I have something measurable or something tangible that I can look at and say, okay, at the end of your tenure, we are going to, these are the things that we have to actually assess you with. But like he has said, it needs to evolve beyond that process. It needs to go into us breaking it down into the short-term goal, the medium-term, and the long-term. We need to look at Nigeria as a business because in all honesty, the governance business is all of our business. And that's how Nigeria is actually going to get better. If we don't actually look at it that way, it's going to be very, very difficult for us to actually ensure that we can actually move from where we are today to where we hope to be in the future.
Yes, Baba, are you worried that candidates and personalities, they are more in the front burner rather than ideologies? This is across party platforms. Is this normal?
Well, it's an anomaly elsewhere, but it has been like this since 1999, more so since 1999. If you go and look at the fundamental vision of the political parties, you know, the DNA, if you like, of the political parties, the PDP, you know, the APC, and even the Labour Party. And you now look at the candidates, the front runners. In some cases, you see what I call ideological mismatch from between the candidate and the flag he's flying.
Okay,
so,
ideological mismatch. Okay.
So I would also like citizens to look out for that mismatch because you don't want, you know, if you look at the narratives, because the politicians have sensed, you know, the tempo, the situation in the country, almost all the parties are flagging populist, you know, agenda because it's like giving you a quick fix. Give me an injection, let the pain just go away. What happened to your fundamental ideology as a party? So if you see a candidate that is promoting an ideology that is not aligned to the fundamental ideology of the party, now that's a red flag. Okay. Because how does that person, of course we know that in Nigeria, the moment you win election and you sit in office, you can just decide to do what you want to do and ignore. But what is important for us now is to note that, to discern that, because if your narrative is going counter, it will be safe for us to ask you. But this is the ideology of your party. And we would like to see that reflect in your manifesto, right? Like in the UK, if you are on the in the Labour Party or the Conservatives, we know how your campaign narrative will go, the kind of policies you will bring, whether they are populist or they are a little bit conservative or whatever. And that is what will drive my interest in voting you or not. Whether the tax will go higher, you know, for example, what will be your focal point in delivering the dividends of democracy. This is a very important barometer to determine capacity, competence, and also the potential of delivering what is promised. You know, so to be honest, political ideology has long been left somewhere back in the days. But the parties now have become special purpose vehicles, you know, for delivering elections and winning offices. And what you will do is to see whatever you can do within the 4 years or 8 years. It is not actually aligned to ideologies. And that is why now some people believe that if they will go back to the fundamental ideology of the political parties, people may not vote for them because of also the vision of the people. They are tired of promises. They are in pains. They want to get relief. So tell them what they want to hear so that they will vote for you. So, you know, I think that is the situation we'll find ourselves.
Yes, at the Accountability Lab, do you really study this trajectory, you know, the special purpose vehicle he mentioned, where you see somebody all his life, probably PDP or the party before PDP, which is maybe NPN, right? Before then you have, is it NEPU and all that? Group. Yes. At what point did the politicians actually veered off the track to just start looking for the office, not really what they stand to give from the office?
I think it started from where we, the people, began to condone it ourselves. People don't often sell what other people will not buy. So
Absolutely.
since when we began as a people to begin to condone most of these issues, it became something that became a norm.
Yeah.
We allowed them to easily move around and move about the way they like. Do you know how difficult it is, or how much of a loss it will be if a Republican moves to a Democratic Party
Yes.
in the United States, for example? Not even to move, to vote in favor of a Democrat ideology.
Even if you remain in your political
Even
party.
if you remain in your politics, it's almost like political suicide. And these are important because we need to build things, we need to build these governance and our structures across ideological lines, because by the time we begin to build it across ideological lines, it takes away the importance we put on trivialities like the difference in culture. I'm not to underestimate religion, of course, but the difference in religion and other things that actually serves as weapon to actually divide us as a people. We need to actually do in our work and as research, do in our own personal research to ensure that those people vote across that political ideology, like he has mentioned. Because how then do you reconcile what you're telling me now and how you're going to do it eventually, when I know that the structure of your government is going to be built based on those people in the party?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, politics is sentimental.
Yeah.
When I win, even if I want to ensure inclusivity, I'm actually going to put people I know that are going to have my best interests at heart closer to me and at the helm of affairs,
Yeah.
even if you want to ensure inclusiveness in your government.
Yeah.
So I think we need to actually look out for those. And in terms of the lab, we're actually putting in a lot of work to see how we can actually address some of these issues going forward into elections. We're working on infographics, we're working on video explainer videos and all of that to actually put in more information out there for people to be able to discern for themselves and understand clearly what they need to do. And another thing I want to actually point out is I think we need to stop underestimating the power of laws in Nigeria.
Power
Of laws.
Okay. Yeah.
We need to stop underestimating the power of laws. The Electoral Act has actually proved to us that laws are very powerful because we can see how much it shook
Yeah.
the election, the politics space. the
Yes,
past few
especially
months.
those who even enacted the laws, forgetting the implications of some
course.
of their actions,
You know, I've
only
always
to
said-
discover.
I've
know
always
that-
said,
yes.
I've always said, and I've said this almost every single time, I'm going to repeat it again, that one of the best things, the ways Nigeria is going to be better, is
Yeah.
by mistake. We're going to make unintentional mistakes that would actually lead to the betterment of the country. I have a feeling that when they signed the Electoral Act and passed it
Yeah.
into law, most of them did not know the implication of 812. They did not understand it, and maybe somebody did not even see it. Maybe they did not even look at it critically. So that was a mistake that they made that has led to the betterment of the country, and I'm hoping that more of those kind of mistakes can actually be made
Yeah.
as we go forward.
Do you foresee the legislators making more mistakes in court that will fine-tune the electoral process and governance? Make service delivery to the people more easier.
Oh, absolutely. Nemesis and selfish interests will continue to help shape and better our political
So we'll get
process.
it right by accident.
Yeah, but just like in the science sometimes, And to add to that,
Yes.
I think what is critical for us to note as citizens is the people to give kudos to for keeping the flag flying. Yes, I'm correct. And keeping the political process vibrant over time is the palm oil seller in the market, the shoe shiner, the Okada riders. They dutifully come out to vote. Albeit they may not have the discerning mind to choose who is the right person. They are politically conscious. It will amaze you to know the level of consciousness on our street. Not just now, even right from 1999. But what is gladdening now and refreshing, which I want to reiterate and call the attention of this class of people, is the middle class.
Okay. Do we have
and
them
I-
in Nigeria?
Well, we can assume to belong there because there is no vacuum. And this class of people, or the elites, or the working class people, I will use myself as an example, and people like me, mostly sit in our rooms and watch the elections from the comfort of our rooms.
Yeah.
While those people in the villages, in the hinterlands, in the towns, urban areas, are the people queuing up under the sun, under the rain, on the cold to conduct elections. Because we don't want to feel the heat of the sun. But we have all the grammar in the world to criticize a government in power for not delivering, while we have the capacity maybe to participate either as political actors or to go and demonstrate the power of our votes.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to see the boost 15% increase in voter turnout, leading to about 96 million voters that have registered in Nigeria. And I expect there will be turnout because of the feelings that people have. And I'm very sure that because we saw on the social media, we saw a lot of narratives that shows that this class of people have actually found out that the AC is no longer working because something else is not working for the AC to work. They are out to make sure their votes count. These are the class of people that will add value to the political process in deciding and shaping who becomes the leader, because these are votes that have been lacking ab initio, and they are going to add value to the votes that will count in 2023.
But Baba, if you look at it critically, the voters are there for a very long time. If you check from 1999,
Yes.
2003,
2019,
2007, yes. But on the day of election, you see people dismally going out.
Yes.
What gives you hope that there will be a difference this time around?
Thank you very much. The voter apathy is true, because if you look at the numbers in 2015 versus the numbers of 2019, actually there was a downturn of voters turnout in 2019 elections. If you look at the outcomes, But in this case, the situation in the country has gone worse. Yeah, the global and national, variables that have impacted on the socio-economic, situation in the country has made it. That is why you see the kind of voter turnout, voters registration turnout.
Voters registration, yes.
And I reckon, from the way people talk, from the emotions, from the sentiments, that people will come out. Now, two things may lead to this same voter apathy, which could be the reasons before. One, security issues, right? Because, and that gives credibility to what I said about the type of people that vote out in the hinterlands, and in the suburban areas, where now security in the north, is an issue. And that is why you see, because if you see the demography of the voter register, you will now hazard a guess why you don't see that high turnout during elections. I want to believe that this time around, there will be higher turnout because you have an average of about 2 million, 1.5 to 2.5 million increase in voter turnout in all the regions, right? And it presupposes that the fraction of people that will come out will be more than what it was 2019. It may not be up to 96 million, maybe due to security factor, whether it is in the north or in the southeast, or maybe due to voter apathy to say, even if we come out,
we're going to vote the same set of
people, or it will not count. But people have realized now, either by virtue of some new political actors, they are not really new, to be honest. I don't want to fray into another topic, but there are some dynamics that have changed that make people to feel they may have some other choices. But to be honest, it's just for you to pick your pick, as far as I'm concerned. But that being said, we have options, and people know, and people will come out to exercise their vote. So I expect an
Mukhtar,
increase.
yes, you will also talk on insecurity, but there is this insinuation that the large turnout of voters, I mean prospective voters who collected the card, is not just to go or basically for the election, but for other purposes, because politicians are now using that criteria to reach out to them, churches, mosques, and all that. What is your take on this, and how can the mindset of these people be changed so that beyond getting these packs, the so-called packs, they should also use the card to vote for right candidates?
Currently, I have a paper undergoing peer review for the International Journal of Democracy, where we did an analysis of voter turnout, trying to understand voter apathy trends in Nigeria between 1999 and 2019. And it is interesting to note that the highest we've gotten was in 2003, where we had a little over 62% of voter turnout out of the total registered voters for that election in 2003. But it has really dwindled since then, and it plummeted significantly in 2019, during the 2019 general elections, where we had just a little over 32% of people who turned out. But the beauty of it is that dynamic is actually changing now.
Okay.
Because if you look at the trend of the Osun elections that happened this year, although this percentage turnout was the lowest Osun has ever recorded since Osun elections.
So it is the
started.
highest as far as Osun is concerned.
Well, it's one of the lowest that Osun has ever recorded. But the upside of it was, if you look at the breakdown of the demography of the voters, largely the people who voted were between 18 to 35.
Okay.
It tells you that the younger population are now ready to come out, and they're ready to actually ensure that they cast their franchise. I think more and more people are beginning to understand that you cannot enjoy the dividends of democracy without the rigors of democracy.
Okay.
And one of the rigors of democracy is your ability to stand under the sun or under the rain once every 4 years and cast your franchise for who you want to lead you for the next 4 years.
Thank you.
So just to conclude,
Yes.
as much as possible, I'm urging everybody out there, do not just collect your PVC so you can use it as a means of identification at the airport or at the bank. Ensure that you go out and cast your franchise. It's a very, very important part of the democratic process.
Thank you very much.
People need to
Baba,
understand that.
in 30 seconds, what do you think government should do? Because you raised the issue of insecurity and other factors. Just maybe 30 seconds or 40 seconds.
The good part of it is the APC government will like the elections to take place. They would like to retain power. They would like to ensure the process is smooth, because it will be one of the measures that will prove to people that they should be voted again. So the task for them is to ensure the security gets better and that the election takes place. So I think for them it is more of a priority than any other party that this happens. And to that extent, I am of a firm belief that that will be addressed, because I don't think it will be highly counterproductive, on the negative to the ruling party if insecurity continues, dwindling or escalating in the country, especially towards the electioneering time.
Are you optimistic, finally, from you? The elections will hold all over the country, considering the flashpoints that we have.
I think the legitimization of our democracy is highly dependent on how well or how bad the 2023 election goes. It is very important that the government ensure that it can save face and prove to people, not just at the local level and the international communities as well, that Nigeria is a democratic country, and whatever it is that happens in the 2023 election happens through a transparent lens. So I see that they are going to actually try as much as possible to facilitate it. We are still looking at further implications of the Electoral Act. We still don't know how much
Because
more
many
it's going
things
to
are
save
there,
us.
yes.
Yes, we're still not very sure of how much more it's going to save us.
Yes.
But we are hoping that we see the most part of it when the elections actually start next year.
Yes, Mukhtar Suleiman, political analyst and strategic communications officer for Accountability Lab Nigeria. I like the last point there, that the legitimacy of the government depends on how effective and how transparent the elections will be conducted. Thank you for your informed perspective. Baba Yusuf, strategist and policy analyst. We thank you very much, and we hope those that matter will take note of some of the issues, especially the security matter. Viewers,
thank you.
This is where we come to the end of today's episode of Daily Politics, in which we discuss agenda for candidates at all levels as we approach the 2023 elections. We thank you for being with us, and we hope you will remain with us till the next edition of the program. For now, bye-bye. I'm Hamza Idris.